And welcome to a new session of Rescue at Raxis. And there should be like 2 minutes now of just pure silence on there, apart from the fan noise.
Well, he didn't tell us. I wanted to blurt something out, so I did first.
I was waiting to see if one of you was going to jump in. But no, I was just waiting to see, make sure it was ticking along, because it does take a while for it to actually recognize.
Yeah, most of the time you're talking when you push the button.
Are we supposed to be seeing anything on the main screen? Because, yeah, we should be. Okay, that's a problem.
Yeah, you should be seeing your beautiful home, I think.
I had seen it, and now I don't see it, so, okay.
Stylish is fucking with your map. You're gonna have to...
It hadn't been earlier.
This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife.
No, it's not.
Days go by.
If anything, it's Congratz's and Prender's beautiful wives. You were too slow, corn boy. Anyway, last time the party...
I got job, person. I still have a chance.
No, you do not. A will save means there was not consent. Castalia does have a filter of love, though. She's still got that rocking around in her pack.
Yeah, I still got that.
Yep. Anyway, last time the party generally hung out, had a bit of a chin wag, possibly did further consorting with criminal elements. You know, got themselves prepped up and ready to go, and Rain continued to show that Pufflesworth is the boss because he's the best. He is.
He is.
We are now on the morning of the party. You have several hours ahead of you, in which there is no party, and it wouldn't even be trend-settingly fashionable to arrive this early. So you got time to kill.
We'd be thrown out if we arrived early, wouldn't we?
Probably wouldn't even be let in.
Criminal.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll be begrudgingly let in even when they're open.
So, you've got things to think about now. Any last-minute things you want to do?
Zaza wants to read the invitation again and make sure we aren't going to a masquerade party or something. We got completely the wrong outfits.
No, it is entirely just welcome to this party. The formal dress isn't even mentioned, actually.
Hmm.
You all just assumed.
Well, we assumed that our normal dress would be anywhere near stylish enough.
Correction. The wizard assumed, and everyone again did not put any questions until the very last moment.
It's a bit of a running theme.
Well, I think we can assume reasonably well we've got clothing that will be appropriate.
Or at least passable.
And Rain just kind of sitting there going, it doesn't matter because I can make myself wear whatever I want.
Just standing over there, doing a little dance while just continually just switching through one outfit to another. Poop, 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 poop.
That won't be jarring for everyone else involved. Not at all.
You need a good 80s song to go with it.
And then you get stuck on maid.
Oh no, she's not bringing that ring.
I mean, you could reconstruct the outfit itself. Maybe even make it fit.
Mm-hmm.
So the fuck are you lot doing?
Well,
Breakfast.
I pet the cat.
There is no cat here. If there was a tabaxi here, that would be closer to having a cat than it is to what you have. Because what you have is not a cat.
It is a beast of death. And destruction.
Which is currently drooling on the floor with...
Put a saddle on it.
Which is currently lazing on the floor, drooling a huge puddle. Now and again, 4 of the legs skitter. 2 of the legs catch up later.
Let me see, what would that be? That would be that, wouldn't it? It would. Alright.
Well, if anyone is interested, they could also bring along some sort of magical tchotchke that isn't horrendously dangerous to bring. Just to show off if they want to.
We should probably work out what equipment we should take with us, because I'm assuming most of our normal weapons will not be allowed.
Okay, that's that. What else? What else? What else?
Because I imagine there's a good chance they won't allow me to walk in there with a pair of daggers and a bow.
Probably not.
You have got the impression that things are a bit tense in the city.
Surely the guard won't take away a small crystal ball from a very well dressed man.
Probably not, but I might be only able to bring in one dagger, maybe not the short sword.
I mean, just
No, I'm
think
not too
back.
sure.
Just think back to that video, Zarzul. Your reward for regicide, it could in fact be monarchy.
And they might even believe that you were the one to kill them.
Yeah. Hire
Might
Castalia
call
to
you a
tell
liar.
lies, pointing out that you killed the king, and they'll just tell her she's full of shit.
I guess I could try and start the rumor. My Christmas isn't that good. They might believe me.
What is your 18-step plan, Castalia?
Step 1, get a disguise kit.
Okay.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I get a disguise kit?
Don't have proficiency in it.
Yeah, I'm not using it to disguise.
Okay.
It has everything you need for makeup.
You already
We have a
that.
mirror for that.
We have a mirror for that.
We do?
Yes!
Perfect then. Awesome.
To be fair, though, most of the time it's been used for beard trimmings.
Okay, so glass cleaner.
The only thing Rain's interested in grabbing is she needs to get her stuff to summon her familiar because she wants to get that out of the way.
I mean, you also had an open invitation from an ugly fucking cat.
Don't talk to him like that.
Mm,
He's beautiful.
Oh,
as
yeah,
hell.
right. The cat, yeah.
Yeah.
For-
Rain in particular was invited back to the boutique.
She's wondering if there's a particular reason for her to go.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah, all you go is a message. It is up to you.
And seeing the message giver wasn't exactly normal
Yeah.
to speaking. It's understandable. But yeah, I would suggest going.
Yeah, probably after she picks up her component, she might swing by.
I'll make sure to deduct the cash from it. And while the rest of you figure out things to do, we'll jump to Rain, who is returning to the glade.
I was gonna wait and see if anybody else was going out, because if they were, she'd ask for them to tag along.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I think Kadir is just busy enough to getting troop ready with his little outfit.
Oh dear. I just hit a bunch
It
of
looks so adorable.
And then the bag. Keep it very tight around the head. That nose. Does it have to be that long?
Oh god.
So Rain going solo because no one wants to go along with her.
Apparently. She would ask if anybody wants to go out.
Sure, I guess. Might as well.
Alright.
For the first time, Those two travel together.
Yeah.
It's usually the wizard.
Yeah,
The
she has spent
wizards.
more time with the wizard she hates
Yeah.
than the warlock, but they kind of talk. Like, they haven't talked since they shared the patron. But yes,
Okay.
you return to the Glade store, where you got the pattern for your dress. Still overgrown looking. Still that woman behind the counter. But you just see the lips pull back against the teeth, and the teeth just keep going. You don't see gum. Welcome, Lady Rain and guest. Welcome. You acquired my message, my communique.
I did, yes. It was an interesting
Is this woman
experience.
trusted?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. I will take your word on that, for you have a trustworthy confidant. Follow me, please. And
She follows.
yeah, she pulls up the counter bar so you guys can get behind, opens a door. You go through a small, cramped hallway that makes you think there should be a skinny Goliath chasing you at full speed. Through a few more turnings, and then into... It's not quite a bar, but it has all the elements of a deep drinking den. And there are a whole smattering of bottles everywhere. Some glowing, and they're mostly providing the light, so it is all kinds of colors in the air right now. There are seats, yes. Sit on down in the center there.
She
So,
does so.
I have been informed by a fellow friend, who is a friend of yours as well, I've been told.
Oh?
You may have an interest in altering identity. I do not only perform wonders of fashion, I can perform wonders with the flesh.
Flesh.
It was once something of a trend here, but has long since fallen by the disinterest in arcane work. Allow me to show you the simplest of things. These ones here would give you inches either way upon your height. Here there is coloring for hair, length, texture, depthness. You can become more of a lady or far less and mingle in androgyny. You can gain many tens of pounds with just a gulp of this that will last you for months, perhaps years. Or you can try to dissolve all body weight in a few quick swigs.
She's looking very fascinated, but at the same time a bit confused because she didn't remember specifying she wanted to change how she looked to anybody. Although she's figuring which friend it is.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to put two and two together on this one.
Yeah.
I have done dealings before with our mutual friend, and he said you may, at some point, have an interest in this. And so I offer my services to you and your now trusted companion.
Castalia.
She doesn't react. She's just looking unblinkingly at Rain for now. But now and again, like, you can see her eyes just snap to the tiefling and then back again. She knows you're there.
It's absolutely fascinating. This could be incredibly useful.
It is something to keep discreet. It is not outlawed, it is not banned, it is merely unknown.
Oh yes, I understand. Well,
There
at
is
the
also
moment-
a premium and an expense involved, but I do appreciate clientele, and depending on the dosage and depending on the requirements, it can be ameliorated into a cheaper purchase.
I understand. Something like this obviously would. Yes, I understand. Huh. She looks like she's clearly mulling over something. Mulling? Ugh. I can't speak.
Mulling.
Mulling.
Mulling, yeah.
When she sees that you're deep in thought, she snaps to Castalia. Yourself, have you thought of adjustment? Have you thought of alteration? Those horns, perhaps longer, perhaps a rougher texture, maybe the tail, stronger, more vital. Would you prefer the hoofs to go along with your demonic image?
No.
Perhaps you'd like to try blonde. I have heard they have more fun. But as we all know, adventuring men prefer the redhead.
You know, I've actually heard the brunette.
No, brunette's average and boring.
Really?
Redhead indicates excitement, fiery opportunity, and exoticness. This is also perfectly acceptable for any other friends you may have who wish to adjust. It will not hold under a dispel unless you take a more permanent dosage. These I show you, for the modest fees are weeks and months. These ones here, which are very large bottles, steady doses for a year, and then they will continue on through most of your natural life. It is, however, all of a cosmetic nature. I cannot give you the muscles of a titan.
Oh, yes.
I can make it look like you have them, and your body will be able to carry them, but you will have no exceptional ability.
Understandable, yes.
I also do a range of enchanted tattoo work and inks. Those have a very high cost, for they are non-replaceable. They are always of permanent nature.
Oh. I know at the moment, this wouldn't be something that we can use at the moment, but that doesn't mean in the future, somewhat near future, this might not.
Do
It
not
might be
think
coming
do not
around.
think purely in utility. These are, of course, an item of vanity.
Oh, yes.
So please feel free to indulge. There are no refunds, but there are replacements. You may think of going for a platinum blonde look, like the underground elvish races, and then decide against it the next week. That can be changed.
That's absolutely. I know it won't be immediate, but I most certainly probably will be popping by.
That is excellent to hear. Don't worry, I will always be here to accept your custom. The lips draw back even further, and still no gum, just more tooth. You can see her lip curling up just under her nose now.
Ring gives a smile and then looks over at Castalia.
Yes?
She kind of gives a little bit of a shrug and gets up.
Do you wish for a conference in private?
No, I think
Or is your business here concluded for the day?
it is concluded for the day. Thank you ever so much.
Yes, indeed. Well, I hope to receive all of you shortly again, sometime soon.
Thank you very much.
You are nicely ushered out. And then she resumes right behind the counter again, unmoving. And you see the mouth close back over.
Is she frowning or smiling?
It's a straight line. It's an unnaturally straight line.
Well, once they get on outside, that was different.
It certainly does offer possibilities, but I'm not really sure.
I can see some great use, but not at the moment.
Perhaps in the future, then.
Exactly. I
Perhaps
suppose
in
let's.
the future when we have to escape the city very quickly.
Well, no, you'll be escaping. We'll just be different people.
Exactly. Let us be off.
Any other business?
Nope, it would be just acquiring the components for my poor little familiar.
Alrighty.
Oh dear. Oh, never mind. It came back.
Yeah.
My entire computer monitor disappeared and then came back.
Well, I changed maps, so hopefully it wasn't the cause.
Oh no! It literally my entire screen disappeared.
I was about to
But-
say, wherever your monitor went, you might want to call someone.
Let's see if it happens again.
No?
Good then.
No, I mean the entire screen went blank, like, I don't have any input, and then it went over. So that's what happened.
So a blackout. Okay.
So, all business concluded?
Yep.
Any other errands from the rest of you? Or even just conversations, things you want to bring up right now. Maybe it's a good time to vent some stuff.
It's a good day to die.
How's our hair?
Up to you. Did you spend time on it?
I would
Yeah.
be spending time with the mirror.
Alright, hang on a second. Wow. So that rolled to GM, but it was in fact a natural 20, so Congrats does notice anything Castalia does to her hair.
He's so caring.
Then I will have it washed, put up nicely. Everything will be ready for this party.
Indeed, he himself almost looks light in a way. It's just a nice surcoat, just in a simple billowy outfit. Very much a sort of beach look. And then to the party. Well, first to the gates, to the Vulgar District itself. You are not at all surprised to see that, as time approaches for it, there's no long queue waiting to get in here. Admission, not something that's coming out from the walls, really. I've seen you about here before. Miss Talia, I presume?
That would be me.
Alright then, and you will be needing an escort. Which estate are you visiting this time? Now that you have an invitation, I presume.
Hang on, let's just get the names up. That will be the Boren's estate.
Boarhens, right.
And I also show the invitation.
Yep, I've definitely seen this one pass through. Alright then. You will be having an accompaniment of several of our men. Do not veer off. Stay within the group. I'm afraid to say that due to the circumstances, any such veering off may be witnessed as treason. Enjoy yourselves, but do not go wandering off.
Very well.
The gates finally open. So many times you've been here, Castalia. Once or twice the others have been. Then realized there was an obstacle and they just gave up and walked home. And when the gates open, Cornelius, your heart swells. Unfortunately, that's actually that's actually a disease. You collapse, you start foaming. But yes, you witness estates. You witness land that has been tamed and kept by servants. No more of a row upon row of buildings. These are all standalone, huge manors. This place speaks of decadence, of wealth, of people who have never done a fucking day's work in their life. And you see something that you have in the time you've been in the city. You may not have even realized it. You see men, one at front, one at back, and between them, on poles, the hansom cabs. You have seen litters. You have seen people being carried around by their lessers so that they may meet with their betters. You realize now that all of them have been fucking working here in the Vulgar District and haven't been let out into the main city. Which has been getting quite a lot of...
Sounds not coming through.
PO drop?
No, it's you.
I'm still here.
Me?
Yeah, you were cutting off.
Weird. Let's double check. Okay, I'm still coming through on OBS, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So yes, as I was saying, like the litters and the hansom cabs, you have seen people being carried around. The whole industry seems to have just been kept here in the Vulgars instead of in the inner city. You also see a lot of colors. Two, but a lot of them. There are great unfurled banners of blue and pink, various beautifully etched in and sewn patterns of flowers, and a moon of water. Every house seems to have its own symbols going around, but always in the predominant dual colors of the issue. Only one estate that you see is very little going on around it has the banners of white. And it does have those armored warriors you saw standing outside the slums. But none of the foot traffic. Other places, they're getting pretty busy. You can see that there are queues of people in some estates, waiting at the gates, some being pushed aside by those who are far superior guests. There is a manner of entertainment. It's not to the street level stuff, but you see that there's just open dining. There are little cafes here and there, people just milling around discussing. A few orators who are just telling all kinds of scholarly bollocks that honestly you heard in your first year and you're completely over it by now. There is debates going on, there is fine tobacco smoke. Far richer and more potent than anything you've had, Zarzul. But also not as alterative. And you are led entirely along the way to the Borhen estate, which is, among all these places, on the upper side of modest. It's large but not ostentatious. Well-kept ground. No unusual decorations, nothing gaudy or ridiculous. Just a nice, clean fountain springing up. Simple stonework path. It's all very sort of muted and nice. Nothing horrendously overburdened. The guard waited you at the gate. Time passes, as you'd expect. There are some more groups behind you. They definitely look like the upper crust, Cornelius. Mm-hmm. Just the impression you get from the massive ruffs, the frills, the fine coats. And then you also see familiar faces, which you do believe you shouldn't. You see an orange-furred tabaxi in a floppy hat with capote. You see beside him a hobgoblin woman.
Oh dear.
Oh no!
And a dark-scaled dragonborn.
Oh wait, no, it's okay. One of the items is back home. It's okay. Oh.
You can unclench. There's also someone you didn't see you saw a passing glance of her, of a very pale tiefling woman who is striding along with him. They are also completely under guard, whereas the other groups in between, no. They have attendants, they have warriors beside them, but they are very much personal guard, which you can tell by the fact that they're looking outwards, not inwards. Because now and again, as you glance around, you're catching the eye of one of your escorts, who's just keeping his eye on you, you squirrely little nerd. Go on, just put a foot out of line, I fucking dare you. I've been waiting to do this all day. And then, a servant comes from the house, slow-paced, like there isn't about 30 or 40 people waiting outside. The gates open. Not by him. He calls more men to come out. Ah, yes. Your invitation, please.
I handle the invitation.
I am Folgitz. I am the valet of the house. Yes. Ah. I am pleased that you accepted our invitation than the crude ones next door. Yes. Follow along. This is all of your group. Yes, I see here. How would you wish to be announced? He's explained this as you're walking up towards the building. Do you have any titles or prefixes you would require for, well, respect, I suppose?
What title would Cornelius actually have in this kind of society? Like, since he's basically just an heir to, technically, or second in heir, so he wouldn't really have any
they
title.
don't know who you are at all.
Yeah. But Cornelius is an honest sort. He would not lie about this sort of thing.
Really? Because you gave your honest name at the front gates.
Yeah, that was what I thought. People were trying to fucking kill me. I think
Well,
that's a
in
much
your
more big difference.
Well, I mean, in your case, I mean, you've got a fair idea of this here due to your background. You're fairly sure that Master wouldn't be inappropriate. It's a little youthful. Sir would also be fitting, but then you think, well, they're a knightly order sort of thing, so probably might step on a toe or two, but it would probably pass by fine. Then you also think maybe adjectives would be fine as well, just descriptors, you know. The learned Cornelius sent, for example. You realize, should not say wizard. Arcanist probably also out.
Yeah.
And the rest of you, I hope, are thinking of stuff as well.
Yeah, I think...
I just like to
probably it.
imagine Malgurn's rolling over his head. And then finally, you know, he even stalls the door and just goes, Mister. No, wait. What's the short version of Mister? MR. I'll go MR Malgurn, that'll do. You vibrator?
I took an ASI for intelligence. Fuck off.
Mr. Malgurn.
Yeah, I'm going back to voice
Esquire.
activity because I was trying to say stuff and then realized I was on push to talk.
Oh, great job.
Yeah, I think I'm going with the Cornelius sent the scholar.
Alright, Rain?
Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back.
You, sir? As he look... Yeah, I see it. As he looks down at Zarzul.
I am Zazul of the Gedem tribe.
And that is how you wish to be introduced.
It's Zazul is an important title.
Very well. Malgurn?
Oh, he's coming to me? Okay.
Yeah, he's looking... Like, this is genuinely just to boost your own egos among them. How do you want to be introduced?
Malgurn would simply say it's Malgurn. Because he's just not following all this. It's too high society.
Simply Malgurn.
Yes, that's what I said, Malgurn.
Sounds like a clone.
That's something a clone would say, yeah.
Sweat.
Malgurn, because you
Coordination.
just barely meet the requirements. As opposed to you're worth it.
Do I punch him? Do I punch him? Do I punch him? No.
You do punch him, yes.
Oh,
I'm back now, by the way.
I really want to.
You can see Cornelius in the... You can see shaking his head, looking at the Malgurn. You can tell what he's doing.
I really want to, but yes, I would see Cornelius doing that and go, okay, fine.
So
Kind
that's
of like
4
pouting.
damage from the dagger and 80 damage from the poison on the dagger.
Oh, God. Fuck off.
And the ladies, do you wish to be introduced together?
I look at Rain.
This was the invitation that declared you as Mrs. Talia.
We are not attached.
I see.
Dun, 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 dun.
Apologies, it was a simple assumption. I do apologize. It was not made by me. The page will be disciplined.
Oh, it's quite alright.
It's understandable when I don't have a last name.
That's not uncommon. You know that to the end of that sentence there was for the common folk. There was everything in his face that declared that.
Oh, I know.
And Cornelius is just thinking, well, she could always go her old name. That had a last
No.
name.
What's wrong with Castmore?
You have to remember, her brother also, that they had a traveling merchant thing, so for all she knows, her brother might have come around, and that would be no bueno.
And enters Rain Barrelmore.
You aren't allowed to say that when I'm popping a grape in my mouth.
Oh, you have grapes? Fuck you. Look, fruit's expensive, you.
It is.
Yeah.
I suppose I'll just go with Mr. Mullicrag. That'll do me.
On range, you would just specify Cleric of Kellamvor. There you go, problem solved.
Mm-hmm. Cleric.
And man, he's looking at you, Castalia.
Let's see.
Your lady, you're holding up the line.
Lady Castalia Vantalia, savior of Cedarno.
I hope the rest of the party are just turning to look at her.
Yeah!
I feel like a whatever.
That would turn some heads, yes.
Just call me your +1. Very well. He looks completely unflummoxed. And you are let into the doors. It's currently just a big foyer. It's not quite the bustling party area just yet. People milling around, you know, they want to bring people in to be announced and make sure there's a good amount of guests to hear the announcements. But you do see a few people bumbling about, mingling idly. Quite a lot of the idle rich. And I'm just going to show you how cheaply I'm going to be doing this. Because why do I need a fucking... Here's the funny thing, right? People who do maps of the estates and all tend to not include big party areas. So we're just doing it down here. This'll do.
Nope, that's fine.
If you just turn your attention to the south, you can see all the movers and shakers.
Are we not back on the old house?
Yeah.
Oh, are you still on there? Hang on.
Yeah.
We're still there.
Okay. There we go.
Here.
There we go.
Okay.
Now here's the cheap mess.
Well done.
Basically, these are all various groups that you can get near and mingle with and chat to. Because I'm not doing 50 fucking voices. We'll be doing a lot of skimming, a lot of the gist of the conversations. Although if you have anything direct to ask the people, then we can get to actual conversations.
Well, there's one group that I'm gonna stay the hell away from. I have plenty that I've already talked about certain... Oh, dude. Well, this is awkward.
Let's see, let's double check here. Yeah, there we go. Just making sure that the PO can indeed move congrats to her whims. But yes, let's see, let's space some tokens out of it.
Yep, there we go. I got the 2.
There is, as you might expect, some full tabarded warriors. They are not armed. You are thankfully seeing a complete lack of weaponry, except on the actual house guard themselves, who are not fully adorned in armor. So, bit of a clash there. One of the servants does come along and says, I assume you would require a little direction, yes? I've been instructed to inform out-of-towners. If you look over here, that is her lady, Borhen. And there is the master of the house, over here. These are just some clods from the gladiator who'll be providing tonight's entertainment. Sir Vare has not given any introduction to himself, however he is representing one of the mercenary guilds. That Vare is a local personality and quite one of the higher-ups of the Azael Knights. Or Cerule Knights, I beg your pardon. He is a tall green Fallowinter. Quite a popular one.
Ah, the face on him finally.
Is there anyone that you require an introduction to? I'll provide as I can.
Well, Oh, probably should introduce ourselves to the people who invited us to the party.
Oh, yes, of course, please, by all means. He'll sidle along you, but, it's up to you to go over there.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to assume it's these people up here. Or is it them over here?
Well, as you're pointed, that's the lady, that's the lord.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Because there's some socializing going on and what have you.
Well, I suppose we should probably introduce ourselves to the Lord. He's the one who, I assume, ever invited us. I don't know how it works around here.
Oh,
Might be a
well,
faux pas.
you can freely approach, it's just to show proper respect. His title while on his estate is the Lord Borhen. His wife is the Lady Borhen. Familiar terms are not to be said. If you are dealing with one of the knights of the realm, you approach them as Sir or Lady Knight. They will then tell you their name and you move on from there, but you must assume them as knights beforehand.
Understood. Looking back to the rest of the group to make sure that they also understood.
Yes.
Rain looks like she's perfectly on board with all of it.
Congrats is following one of the waiters with a tray of canapes very carefully with his eyes. There is a little bit of food at the moment in the foyer here. Just a few simple little nibbles, a lot of pastries, and a few gluts of wine, but nothing exceptional just yet. At the moment, this is all just, how do you do? But still, he's looking for his opportunity. Maybe I should look at one for the limp. There's always one servant with a limp. He'll be the easy one. So yes, I assume you approach him.
Yeah, I can approach the Lord.
You realize the rest of the party have not.
Oh no, I'd be following Cornelius.
Of course.
I mean, because they're married and everything.
Yeah, why didn't you go to the other party?
No, absolutely not. But yeah, I would be following Cornelius.
Ah, yes, now, I believe the descriptions... Aha. You are the slum warriors, yes. That brighten the day of the poor.
I do believe we are Lord Born.
Ah, that's a bad joke. Fuck you.
It's not a joke. It's a
accurate,
literal
but not
description of what you guys did.
Yeah.
Either way, fuck you.
He said to the Lord, immediately tossed out.
No, I'm the one that does the tossing, Cornelius.
I don't think Malgurn's that stupid to say that out loud yet.
Yet. How much have I had to drink? Yeah.
Are you looking at the bottom left?
It
Anyway.
depends whether he preloaded or not.
Yeah. I probably did a fair bit because, high and tight parties.
I'm very grateful that you accepted my invitation. I knew that there was some simultaneous gesture being made, but I'm glad you went with the correct choice.
Well, we certainly do appreciate the gesture, Lord.
Well, you saved a lot of people of the town. You did a far better job than any of those pink swave. You see him just take a little moment as he looks at the glass of wine. You can see there's a bit of reddening to his cheeks. Yes, well, I've expressed a lot of opinions about how that was just sitting there, boarded up, being paced around by the faithful. Ever may their collection boxes rattle empty. So I'm just glad if it's you, and he puts a big hand on your shoulder, Cornelius. It feels heavy.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were the ones to actually do something. He's shaking you around a bit now. You who don't even have the national pride of this country, this great nation, at your priority. Instead, no, you went there. You risked life and limb against monsters of horrors. He's brought you into his side now. You look parched. Have a wine. He hands you the wine he's been drinking.
Oh, no.
And it warms my heart to know that adventure is still in the hearts of those of daring do's for the people who need it. And you see the knight beside him just lean in. There's a bit of a clanking, a bit of a hollow whisper. Yes, sir, that's... Maybe you just need to dial it down a little bit, sir. It's only the beginning of the evening. Ah, yes, of course, yes.
Zazzle was getting into this.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's just all praise and whatnot.
Yeah.
Rain is looking very interested, trying very hard not to look amused.
As you look across to his lady, his good lady wife, you can see she is entirely sober and prim and proper. So you can tell who probably arranged the party and who is just hanging around. Mm-hmm. Yes, and look at all of you, so diverse as well. My God, he's a biggin. He's looking at you, Malgern.
That's a shock.
Yes, you look a right proper warrior. Pride, I'm sure, surging out from your beard strands. He still got you, Cornelius.
Yeah.
His arm is pretty thick. You think, oh yeah, this is a family that served the knights. This guy was a knight. This makes sense now. This guy probably carried his horse in the battle.
I imagine there's just a small crackling sound. As his frail bones are just cracking under the pressure.
Yes, well, at this will be a festivity not just for you, but I want to show you off. You know, feel free to just mingle a little bit and talk and celebrate, and I must admit, I'm at this point you came all dressed up, but you look amazing, a lot of you. Still, a bit of burnished arm or a bit of scarred up leather, I mean, that really gets them interested. So I'll be honest, you're a bit of a showpiece here, but you're also very welcome guests. Especially since you're not wearing fucking pink. And the guard, the knight's put his hand a bit firmer on his arm and says, yes, sir, yes. You probably should watch your voice, sir. Your lady wife, she will be most annoyed. Oh, yes, of course. Yes, excuse me. I must go see to my other guest. He's taking you with him, Cornelius.
I can only look pleading back to the others as they disappear into the crowd.
As he steps over to a woman who, wow, familiar looking. Not her face or her features, but she is dressed in a very familiar looking way to you, Cornelius. Plus the fact that she's a very of reddened skin and hair also brings to mind the person who dresses like that sometimes. This lady is quite obviously a high-class dancer. But she's also one of the few people who are armed here. As you can see, she has a spear tucked under her arm and kept at her side. Very, like, what's the right word for it? Tensely. And a lot of fluttering streams and scars from the shaft. Yes, I'm so glad to see that entertainment from Catalai has arrived. Yes, the man beside her just seems like a proper swarthy kind of sea dog sort of man. He's, you know, he almost folds you over, Cornelius, as he brings the arm he's got wrapped around you outwards for a handshake with the sailor. So glad. Yes, he's slapping the other hand there as well. Yes, we can always rely on our brothers of trade. Yes, you're doing a stellar work for our country here. Oh, Sir Cornelius, let me introduce you. I didn't realize you came along. Yes, this is Parasna. Parasna of the Burnt Sands. Yes, Miss Parasna of the Burnt Sand, a royal dancer from Catalai. She's here for part of the entertainment, but also as a representative of the ruler. Although he's not quite a king, is he? He just assumes the title. She doesn't look offended, but she looks like she's keeping a lot contained. She looks at you with the same kind of suppressed, stoic expression, but yeah, it seems like Castalia, actually. She comes from a bloodline of genies, you know, which means she's a sort of girl that you'd wish for. Resounding slap on the back.
And just imagine the X-ray of like from Mortal Kombat with internal injuries happening.
It's not that strong. It's just more than you were expecting. Like you were expecting prim, proper, and he is carting you around like his own child. Do you know of the Kingdom of Catalai? Practical brothers they are to Raxis here. Anytime you look like you're going to open your mouth, he starts speaking. Oh yes, you might have seen it. To the west we have the Great Lakeway. It goes right up north to their kingdom. It's the only inland route there, apart from being on foot through a bloody Arctic tundra. Haha. Smooth sailing, much more profitable. Yes, indeed. And they've been making sure we haven't had any food shortages with these bloody orcs running about. I must say, the fucking colours here have been a pain. Pinks and greys, always a problem for the kingdom. I must go. But yes, it's lovely to see you all, and hopefully at the main event we'll talk more. Yes, indeed. And he walks away from you, Cornelius, as you're thankful. You just realise now you're standing there with two complete strangers, and she's just narrowing her eyes at you.
Well, pleasure to meet you, madam.
It might be in time.
Oh.
Rain whispers to Castalia, I think Cornelius managed to escape finally.
Do you
Yeah,
want
you
to go fetch him?
You see Lord Borhan being taken away by the knight.
Somebody pre-gamed a little bit too much.
So what exactly brings the two of you here?
Diplomacy. And the entertainment, as he says.
See.
And the sea captain looks like he's going to speak to you, but she gives an occasional look, and he just goes right back to just enjoying his little canapes. And you? What are you?
Me?
You're no knight, you're no noble.
Ooh.
Well, maybe not a noble here. But I am from my old hometown.
Quaint.
But for the most part, for the moment, mostly doing adventuring work.
Ah, now that at least is laudable. And have you done any here?
Well, the reason I came in here was solving the crisis in the slums.
I had heard there was an issue there. Although, honoured guest and such, they keep us as prisoners. We can go back to our country any time. We cannot just go into the city at any time. It has been tedious.
And I imagine there's a lot of diplomatic relations at stake should anything happen to you when you're on their guard.
Yes, they've done more job protecting me than their own king, apparently. Which is no surprise. Yes. I have value. She doesn't say that with an ego, which is a weird way to hear it. It's very serious and flat. It's not the haughty, I have value.
Yeah, it's more like... it's a statement of fact, basically.
And do you? Are you a man who has value? And she steps up to you, and you realize she's about a couple of inches taller. Mind you, she also has heels on, so...
Yeah. Would consider myself of some value, but perhaps maybe not so much to the city. I have some wealth of knowledge.
I have a wealth, I have some wealth.
Yeah.
I have a quantity of knowledge. That's all you're good for? Knowing? What about the doing?
Well, I have certainly done my fair share of orc killing as of late, but I suspect that's not what you're referring to.
One of the things. We'll talk later, I think. She gives a swish. You are buffeted by the drapes on her shaft, or on her spear. Yes, I was going for a phrase that wasn't going to promote a giggle. And she returns to just stand there. Still, it had a certain grace to it, but there is definitely like a militaristic drill edge to it.
Mm-hmm. Do a slight nod and then start walking away. Understanding the social cue of we're done. Because she also said we're done.
I think you made your first step there. Next time, tell her her
Well.
hair's nice.
Did you have fun there?
Oh, I shall let you know once my bones seem to have set themselves back into place. Well, we should probably introduce ourselves to the lady then.
No, mainly because he's not here. Apparently, he got carted off. You imagine there's a fair few jars of coffee being made.
Alright, well, I guess Kanye's gonna have to take the lead to walk up to the lady.
No, by all means, let someone else take over.
Yeah.
You're always such a victim to circumstance. Please, let the others take the consequences.
Green's letting
Yeah.
the introductions be done by people with actual
Yeah.
titles, for obvious reasons, in this circumstance.
And yeah, I'm guessing that the tiefling is the one we know.
No, like I
Rogan.
said, this isn't Rogan.
Oh, okay. I think that might
It's
be.
just I
when...
didn't want to have multiple tiefling dude tokens when
Okay.
when I'm fighting for space.
I think it might have been when it cut out for a moment. I didn't hear it.
Yes, the good lady is having a conversation with a number of nobles, although only two of them really stand out. There is a fine silver-haired gentleman who seems to be doing more of the talking than the rest, and a large-torn tiefling man who seems to be, jumping in now and again very, very quickly on the other sentences. There seems to be a shriek of competitiveness in the air. While the lady herself, looking very fair, very petite, and patient. Which is surprising, considering her husband.
What time of day is it?
It's probably kicking off around 5.
Okay, so good evening would be a proper greeting.
I wasn't going to penalize you for an incorrect one, but yeah, sure.
Well, I just wanted to where like I say good evening, and you probably this is around noon. I was like,
Good
oh, shit.
evening.
Good evening, milady.
You see the eyes scrutinize you for a moment, look you up and down.
Tips fedora.
He could. He might have his hat. You are Master Scent.
That is correct.
Oh, good. Information. But the description was accurate. It's always annoying when it's got some discrepancies. So welcome to the party. Welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Well, you did such a fine job. It just seemed a due reward was in order. Recognition, of course. Isn't that what's always craved by those who do good?
Well, it should not be what it shouldn't be what one craves. The deed itself should stand by itself.
She's smiling
No.
and giggling a little bit as you start to dig. It's only a light teasing, sir. But yes, thank you for coming to this. I'm also hoping you'll have a bit more participation in the later events.
Well, perhaps.
Well, we have a
I'm
little
guessing.
She sees a way to extract herself from the conversation currently going. There's a lot of talk about boats and shipping between the other two.
Boats and hoes.
Yes, what? Well, you see, we have a little combative display occurring later. I was wondering if some of you would like to take part in it. We can provide armor and weapons.
Well, I think we have a couple of members of the group who is of the martial expertise.
Splendid. See, it's one
And
thing to, of
Malgern is
course.
just trying to really look like, yes, me, the champion.
I mean, you are also standing in a suit that has the plate mail over it, so.
Yes. I was the champion. Yes, thank you for noticing.
You beat a dwarf. That's not the champion. There is only
Shut
one
up.
champion among the group right now.
I hate you so much.
Who is the champion, Malgern? Malgern, who's the champion? Who won?
No, I'm not gonna.
Who lost and who won?
I won.
You couldn't hold your beer.
No, I won.
I'm the best.
Whose name is up on the foam crowned hammer? Granted, it's in
Means
Draconic,
nothing,
which
I
means
still
only
won.
the entire party recognize it, no one else does.
I don't read Draconic, so I don't know what it says. It could be anything.
Well, let me help you translate it for you, Malgern.
Yeah, I bet you would.
And 90% of the party can understand it, but
Yep.
Malgern.
But they all understand him, for they all fucking speak
Yeah,
Dwarvish.
I can't help but feel personally singled out here.
Hey, you have dark vision. We have languages, okay?
I also have dark vision.
Yeah, Cornelius,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Dark Vision,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Dark Vision,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Dark Vision.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That that's the group there that's all have the dark vision. Now you're singled out because you don't have
If
languages.
Siegfried ever comes back, ask him if you can borrow his belt.
Who?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's truly a wonderful thing that you managed to do, driving off such horrible evil.
Almost for a few days in there, I almost thought we didn't, but
And no
For
call
the
for
end.
reward, which surprised me the most. I must say, the majority of what we see pass through here, they tend to be angling for their own titles and estates, or hoping that some house and bloodline were drained, so that they could step in, doing some daring deeds. But so far, you haven't stepped in on the war effort, and I'm quite curious as to why. That seemed to be the reason most people arrive.
well, mostly trying to figure out. Mostly, we have been trying to figure out other ways to assist than necessarily stepping into just merely being in part of a brawl. Other places that could be assisted that need help.
Oh, of course, of course.
He says us about two other assignments has been about doing a brawl, basically.
And how is Mr. Hallwinter?
Who is Hallwinter now? I can't remember.
Got him.
I'm guessing none of you remember.
What's the name?
Better known as
Hallwinter.
Sildar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
Okay, we are all the way back. To the
Yeah,
beginning
right
of-
to the beginning.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was it. I do believe he's doing very well.
It's very good to hear.
I do believe he has made himself very profitable as of late.
I'm sure he misses the day when he was a Griffin Knight. He has told you a little bit about that time, but he's long retired.
Mm-hmm.
Well, enjoy the festive.
Is Griffin Knight part of the Raxis?
No. Actually,
Okay.
I think he's a Neverwinter Knight in his background in the original module.
Yeah. So, you were saying something before you corrected yourself?
Yeah, she's just basically making her excuses that she has to attend to other guests, of course, but but she looks forward to more discussion later.
Mm-hmm.
And please enjoy yourselves.
Thank you very much. Step away with a little bow.
Yep.
Courtesy bow.
And I'll be back in 1 second.
So will I. I need to go to the bathroom.
And I'm back in play. You?
Hello.
Hello. I thought that Scotch is back.
Greeting.
Oh, does Scotch have to duck off?
Yeah, he went for a little bathroom break.
Same, because I'm almost done with this liter bottle.
Yeah.
Because it's too fucking hot. So, that gives him a nice excuse to not have to lead the party by the nose for roleplay. How about the rest of you? What are you doing at the party?
Taking congrats to go get that some food off the trays benign.
You know,
Like monkey children.
I've just been keeping an eye on it. I look at you all the time. I don't expect to get that immediately. I mean, I hope, but I don't expect it.
Well, still, you're here, and I appreciate that very much. So
Yeah, I'm just
get you
thinking. I know, but I'm just thinking what's behind those doors. This is the pre-party.
All right, then, baby.
Welcome back. Okay, Cornelius, it's time for you to lead the conversation again. I don't know, Castalia's been angling congrats at some of the trays.
Just the ones he's been looking at.
Yep. Nah, I'll hold it back. I'll show restraint. Because there's got to be something like a suckling pig behind those doors. And I've been in a few parties, so I know if I make a decent lap around the place, then people won't... And a lot of the staff will have switched out by the time I get there, so no one will say, no, you've had too much of it.
You sound like you have had a lot of tactics regarding this.
Well, I'm not the big talker, not the most eloquent, so I plan for what I can actually perform, which is usually mass consumption of whatever rich stuff that I got here. You know, I like to do. I'm not a great talker.
That's understandable.
Okay. He puts more of his arm over Castalia. Yeah. I'll be able to hold out. I just need to wait a little bit longer.
You can do it, sweetie.
Thanks. Thanks, dear. It's been about 4 days that they've been together.
I turn to Cornelius and I say, should we pop around to our friend over there?
Who you're pointing at? Tolkien?
Yeah.
Aha, he evaded your point.
Cha-cha.
I suppose we should go on and say hello.
You could just drag your tokens there. You don't have to move step by step.
Well. See, that's why.
Ah, it's all of you.
At once. Because
Well, no,
trailing.
no. He was saying it as Cornelius and Rain got there, and then Castalia came along with congrats in tow.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what she's figuring. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yes, turns out I was invited as well. I think I told you about this. Yes, I'm long-standing friends with the family.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to see you again.
Well, I'd hope so. I try to give a positive impression. Although
I'll give
most of
it
the time
one.
it's just because of my father's reputation.
Well, I'm certain that you have reputable skills as well.
Not that they've been reported a whole heap.
Hmm.
Once you get high enough in an organization, the guys right on top don't like it to be shared around. Gives the wrong impression because they're not doing anything.
Yeah, yes, that tends to be how politicking works.
It's been quite a problem these past few days. So, you're enjoying so far? Fair few faces.
Yes, certainly. Mostly just been making our greetings around here, so haven't really had much time to enjoy ourselves as it is.
Oh, did you spoke to the Lady Callista, Mrs. Borhen?
Oh yes,
Did she tell you about the events planned later?
yes, she did mention some
was brief.
martial event.
Oh, it's not just Marshall. I mean, you should take part as well.
Yes, Cornelius, you.
Oh, I do not think that would be it.
Well,
think that would be
we're going to be
very-
on the same side for it. I've also been drafted for this.
Well, do you have any more details on what exactly we shall be in for if we volunteer for this?
I have some, but I also don't want to spoil the surprise. This is honestly one of their bigger shows that they've put on. You're familiar with... I mean, you've been to the arena, I've heard.
Yes.
This
Did
is
you
on
hear
a
about
much
the
grander
Olympics?
scale. This is not just a fight in a sandpit. And whatever happened with you lots. Give you a little... I'll give you a little hint. Do you notice that they have some representatives from Catalai over there?
Yes.
Yes, they are intricately involved in this one. The Borahens put down a lot of gold for this event.
So I assume that my participation would be strictly martial and not just a kind of wave with the fingers.
Oh no, as I'm saying, you will be able to throw spells around. It's not
Oh,
that
okay.
you won't be witch hunted or anything like that, sir. It's just they don't have a college here. They don't have an established court wizard. Said we have some potion boiler who's up in the court.
Okay, good. Well, I mean, I suppose it could be part of the spectacle then, if it's for.
Oh, it's fairly up to you. It's just, it's not simply swinging around a weapon, as the lady Patience here will inform you. as you look at the very pale tiefling.
Ah, of course. How rude of me. Cutting the ascent.
No, it's quite fine. We've glanced previously at each other. I was there when you brought all of the hells loose. I stepped outside to keep things from getting out. But yes, a pleasure, sir. When you touch your hand, it is fucking ice cold.
Well, gracious of you to make sure to contain the situation.
I too am a user of the magics, although mine are more nature-born. And I will also be taking part in this delightful fiasco that'll be unfolding tonight. As are some of my compatriots over there. As you look across to the gladiators who are just hovering around all the booze.
Your people, Malgarden.
I was gonna say, where are they hovering? I'd like to hover as well.
Yeah, it's Eastfree over here.
Yeah.
They are common as muck and just hanging out.
And we've lost Melgern for the night.
It's fine.
This is only the pre-party though. This is just milling until people arrive.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of a commotion at the entrance as someone does arrive, with a full entourage of pink knights.
Oh
Well,
dear.
2 or 3 of them, but they're not armed or anything. They are just standing at his side. It
I know
is
him.
a hell of a stout dwarf, with a large white pelt swathed over him. He is in full combat armor from the looks of him, although the arms are exposed.
Who the hell does he think he is?
Go up there and ask him.
I know who he is.
Melgern should know better than to go up there and ask.
Do it.
No, I'm drinking.
It'll
Drink
be
now,
even better
breakfast
then.
later. Yeah.
Tabaxi slinks across to you, Malgern. Well met, champion.
Ugh.
It is I, the fencer and professional duelist, ever at the service of those who have coin or honor.
And Malgarin just kind of looks at him like, do I look like the kind of person that has either? It's like,
Yes, it is I, Horizon West. He was hoping for some reaction.
I didn't meet him during the fight, did I? No, yeah.
No, he was up on the 2nd floor.
Yeah, so I honestly wouldn't know Horizon West.
Good sir, I was wondering if you'd slip me a little bit of information in some of the people you're traveling with.
Again, I'm just looking at him stupefied, like, yeah, what do you want? Not saying a word, just kind of like,
I'm sure she's not among your interests, but I have my eye upon your elven woman.
Okay, Malgern gets a shit-eating grin on his face.
Oh god.
Yeah.
She looks like she could use she has the looks of a woman who could use an exquisite man this evening, and I see she has none on her arm. Tonight, I see myself as the one who could be there.
I hop up. I assume we're sitting on stools or something drinking. I hop off the stool, take him, and go, yes, that sounds like a grand idea. Let's go.
He has one arm up, crossed over the chest. He is in a proper stride and strut as he walks alongside Malgern. Full bow with a floppy hat brought down. Hello again, good lady.
She looks very baffled. Hello, it's a pleasure to see you again.
I was wondering. He takes a step in. If you would enjoy some personable company tonight.
She gives Malgern a look as he disappears.
Yeah, you stare at the back of his head as he scuttles back to the booze.
Yeah, that's why I moved it. Really, it's like, I'm gonna let this happen. I'm gonna go back to the drinks. Yeah. I know what I did, and it's great.
She takes a moment and she goes, "Oh, I suppose.
He
And she
offers his
just
arm.
swings up. She takes it and looks absolutely befuddled.
I must say, you look ravishable. I mean, ravishing tonight.
Thank you for the compliment.
How loud did he say that?
Pretty loud.
I spit out my drink.
She gives Cornelius this look of, oh God, what's happened?
I don't think Cornelius is paying attention. He's probably still talking to the people who are here.
Yeah, he's still got a cold tiefling on him.
Yeah.
Because she brings up something very important. She asks him, so, do you have any particulars about the way you cast Mage Hand? I assume you know that one.
Yes.
No, that, like I'm saying, she's opening up a whole topic. She's giving you a chance to brag.
Oh, yeah.
Tall Green occasionally looks across at Castalia, then goes back to just stand there and listen to the conversation between Patience and Cornelius. So, good Lady Rain, you are new to this land, yes?
Relatively, yes. We came just recently.
Well, follow me. I will show you delights and wonders.
I can show you the world.
Okay.
He leads you to the drinking table. You look to me like a woman who can enjoy a good vintage and high quality.
As they're walking over, I kind of raise my tankard. Hey! Go back to drinking.
Oh no, he shuffles. He's not at the lagers and the ales.
Oh, never mind then.
That is actually entirely accurate.
And I know they don't do a huge export in this land, so allow me to assist you in this. Now, you see, we have a Black Rose here of various numbers, sometimes years. It doesn't honestly matter when it comes to there. They're so old that it all sort of blends together. I know what you would prefer. Now, here we have a very lovely scale grape. Now, this is said to have been made in a previous dragon's nest. That is where the grapes themselves grew. And we go for a nice deep red because it suits the complexion that you have and the darkness of your hair. Very rich. We pour it out, we let it sit for a bit, and then a gentle sip, yes? Clinking the glass. He hasn't actually handed you the glass, but he's clinked them together.
She has this look where she's not sure. She's both amused, she does agree a bit, but at the same time she's like, oh God, this is so gaudy.
It is a hell of a red as well. It is deep. But pretty nice. You wouldn't say it's the fanciest one you've ever had, but it's certainly an enjoyable one.
She thinks it over for a little bit. It is quite nice, actually.
You see, I am wrong about many things in life, I am fair to admit that, but when it comes to a lady's taste, I believe I have an in.
I've noticed. And I just look at Malgern and I give him this glare of contempt.
I'm too busy drinking to notice. And even if I did notice, I wouldn't give a shit. Because I've already... It's fine. It's all taken care of.
The bottom of the glass has been seen. The bottom of
Yes.
the bottle is still there.
Yep.
I remember when we first met that you were a lady of faith.
That is correct, yes.
I must admit I have been curious, as a cat often is. It's not a celibate order, is it? And he sips his wine.
No, it is not.
He doesn't make a bigger grin or anything, but there is a little fang on display.
That's not all it's going to be on display.
Fantastic. And now, let me run you through the desserts on offer here, although I'm sure there'll be a bigger array inside, but these ones are more commonly known. And he proceeds to. Anyway, let's jump to someone who's uninvolved. Zarzul, you're in the middle of a room unattached to anyone. What are you doing?
Oh God, this is the recipe for disaster.
Trying to get the attention of these people with the food. They keep on passing by. They just don't seem to look low enough. Hello? Hello? May I help?
If he comes close enough, I'll kind of gesture for him, Zarzul.
No, Zazul has a plan. Obviously,
Uh-oh.
the feather is angled too far back. He's gonna turn it more upright so it's more noticeable. So maybe maybe these servants will actually see what's slightly lower.
It does start to work, actually. When they see the brim just coming over the tray, yeah, they start to take notice of it.
Hello, good sir.
Hello,
Aye,
sir.
aye.
May I interest you in one or two of these?
Oh yes, thank you, good friend.
It's a lot of berry confections, very sweet, very colorful.
At least it's something. It's been so long.
And yes, there is a bit of just eyeball tension between some of the knights, some of the people who are flying the color blue. Like, you can see on them, there are little sort of patches and handkerchiefs and whatnot declaring their allegiance. And as the dwarf steps in with his entourage, there is some tension, but he seems like he was invited. It's just, he doesn't look like a fun haver.
As Castalia starts inching.
Yeah. As I said before, I know who he is.
Yep.
At least I believe.
And
Captain Caragram. Do I have the name right?
You do? Let's have a
I
look
was
at you then. Yeah, you've been the one asking for me, haven't you?
Indeed.
Well, most of the description's accurate, although I feel they elaborated a bit too much on certain features. Big guy you've got there. Yep. So, you've got your chance now.
Indeed. I have a bit of metal that might be from... I believe it was a sword you had broken?
Or maybe broke it. But yes, I've got an idea of what you're talking about.
I was curious if you would like it back.
May as well. I found only 1 or 2 shards of the fucking thing in this kingdom.
Oh, wonderful. And would you be so kind as to tell me the story of the sword?
Well, as he glances around. Alright, gents, you can go. Go get yourself some entertainment as the knights head off. Yeah, alright. Sword, ancient thing. Slightly older than me, I'll admit to that. Used in the first big war when we got rid of Alchemia. I wasn't yet chiseled out by that point. Thing is, used to be a huge greatsword. Big two-hander. I remember stories about the thing going a bit older than that. Took a giant to swing it, that sort of thing. It was broke over the head of something nefarious that is not properly recorded. Which is unusual. Magic weapons usually more resistant. Said that it lit up the night sky like it was broad daylight. And that it killed a good horde, with just the shards alone flying through the air as shrapnel.
Interesting.
Alright. Thing is, they talk about the sword as if it was the savior, it did all the work. No idea who swung the thing, that's not recorded. And I've looked. If we had a proper wizard here, I might be able to find out properly, or even an experienced bard, but no such luck there. Can't take it out of the kingdom either, in case you're wondering about that. National treasure and all.
I understand.
These days it's just barely a short sword. Oh, it's still it's still fractured and shattered, but it can compress. It can bring its pieces in line. Even then, it still has this hazy, magical aura around it that keeps it all floating together. Still cuts. Before my time, well, before I became as important as I am, it wound up going from a treasured blade sticking on a shelf to an executioner's weapon to being the mark of a traitor to get killed by it. So, I have to carry it around now for descent in the ranks of either color. Not a happy time anytime I've got to draw it, and I've had to draw it a lot lately.
Oh, that is a shame.
Yeah. Not how a hero's blade should be treated. If this thing did make a big difference in the land, shouldn't be getting used on scum.
Agreed.
Now, I've got a question for you.
Alright.
We've never met. How did you know I had the sword in the first place?
Well, I found a couple shards of it, and I have a special talent of being able to see the history of some weapons. Only in short bursts, and usually it's not a whole lot.
Seen anything else interesting?
You've of course heard of Ermom, right?
Oh, yes. Met him
And
myself.
heard stories of his hammer that returns when thrown.
Yeah, he'd boast a lot about that when he got drunk. It was about one of the few times he'd ever crack a smile. The rest of the time he was a surly fucker. I would have straightened him out, but I was a whelp then. So you knew about that one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. I'm not going to be bringing it in, for obvious reasons, but... Yeah, here we go. Oi, you! Brings over one of the guys with a tray. Quill, ink, paper, now! The confused servant looks across at the lady who just nods, and he's off like a shot. There we go. I'll get you a written permit. We will have this conversation at a different time.
Thank you. I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, that's good. What about you? I'm just her +1. Fair enough. Any further conversation you need?
No, thank you.
And I've got business matters to attend to, so have a good evening, you two.
You too, Captain.
And the conversation that you're gleaning seems a bit tense, but with his arrival, it seems like the lady of the house is ready, and you find yourselves getting ushered into the deeper recesses, into a much grander ballroom that is exactly like talking in a foyer, to be perfectly honest, although there is music playing in different corners. There's a different track in each corner. Small little bands. Some look a bit poor. One looks very fancy. Gilded instruments, and they're playing the worst, to be perfectly honest. Because what they're playing is a bit of a dull, scraping sound. The room itself is vast. It is a walk between conversation groups. You could get your cardio quite nicely here. Along both sides, huge tables stacked to groaning. There are all kinds of game. There are dead animals cooked in various ways. There are sauces that are just a cavalcade of ingredients, and no real clear flavor is the winner, but the important fact is that there's a lot of stuff in it. There is nothing here that is simple. Everything has at least 4 or 5 different things put on top of it in various ways. From spices to colorings to flavorings. Everything was rich, and you realize you're going to shit your guts out the morning after. In the center, there are also tables, but they're laden with pure decorations. There are cut gems, glass, ice. There are people attending to it constantly to make sure the fucking thing doesn't melt. They are statuary of various knights. For the most part, they all seem to have the helmets and visors down. But what you are noticing is that as you're all coming in, the finishing touches are being laid in, as various syrups and colors are being injected in to give them their allegiance. And you're seeing a good mix of pink and blue. There is also a few cast statues, including one that's familiar to most of you, because one of you wasn't there when it happened, and it was important to him. You can see a cast of Ermum Sofat, with a mighty two-handed hammer in his hand, although the hammerhead itself is just a mass of misshapen iron. And yeah, he does look like a surly prick, and it's very accurate to who he was. Those of you who met him can confirm.
Indeed.
Also, the statue is standing up about 15 feet in the air, because every bit below it is just a mound of dead carven monsters. And yes, the party continues. The arrangement's much the same, the food better, the wine in greater quantities, the booze in lesser but higher quality quantities. And it's still an occasion to mingle and meet. And yeah, just picture each of these tokens has about 6 or 7 more people attached to it. There is also, for you, Zarzul, a familiar presence. You can see the hat bobbing around just at shoulder height for some of the groups. You believe Lord Renenbach is already present.
This is to be expected, and now I know why he has that hat. I had to angle my feather up to get the same effect, but it's obvious to me now why he's got the tall hat.
You also see several kobolds with him, 10 in close circulation and 15 as escort, keeping any undesirables away. He is a little shoal of fish, basically, in this ocean. 7 of them dressed up in full wedding gowns. 3 of them in suits. Lots of babbly conversation between them, although Renenbrock silences him the moment he raises a hand, as he wishes to discuss with other people.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying that's what you see as he walks around. Like, you could approach any time.
Yep.
Also, the Lord Borhen reappears. He's a little less flush of face. Still with a guard in attendance of him, though. But he seems a little jittery, but a little sweaty, but, you know, he's getting his brow mopped professionally.
Probably a bit less happy.
You were all sort of ushered in a bit of a rush. Rain, you did in fact enter the threshold with Horizon on your arm.
I figured.
Cornelius, you were surprised when Patience took yours and led you in.
Alright, then. I can't believe I fucking took my arm.
She doesn't seem the lady to say that to be fair.
Yeah, of course not.
But once you're through, she disconnected herself, but is still talking.
I imagine it's at this point it's just Cornelius going, I cannot believe she's still talking.
Oh, she's going very in-depth as well. There's also mentions of Adagun, but always in a negative connotation.
I can only agree with him there. With her there.
What, the man who carried you because you got so drunk you wanted to die instead of walking? You look unfavorably on that man?
Well, remember, he only got drunk because he wanted the death line so that he would get carried.
Yeah, he didn't want to walk.
Mm-hmm.
So, the venue has changed a little bit. Not that much, as you see I barely moved the tokens. But things are fancier and conversation is flowing a bit further now that introductions have been made. And yes, indeed, in the air there was... And the Lady Castalia von Talia, Saviour of Cedernove. And her +1.
You really should have gone a little more. But that's
It's
fine.
all about you, it's fine. I just need to do some things they're gonna recognize. Gotta say though, you look astounding.
Thank you.
So, there is a bustle, there is a hustle. Fucking mingle, socialize, talk.
All right, well, we gotta wait for you to finish talking.
Even just listen in.
Yeah.
Salzal's going to start sort of just wandering around the room, just listening to things to see if anything interesting pops up.
Well, roll me a perception as you're picking up on eavesdropping.
Almost nobody seems to notice the kobold. Hopefully, it will go well.
Yeah, but DC is low. But it's if you can pick up the salient information between a lot of just boring as shit trade disputes.
He's actually done something.
Yeah, you find out a few things from the various groups you mingle with. So you might want to be taking notes, just a suggestion. You found out that the Yolvitz barrows are drenched in ghosts and other kinds of undead. There are rumors that one of the kobold mines is cracked into an underdark outpost. One of the far eastern towns. There's a few mutterings about the name. You assume Korriban. Apparently, some knights have seen Alchemians taking it over and even cutting the orcs out of it. That is what the kobold has learned. Whether he wants to follow up on them, share them at all.
Let's see.
I'll pass them on when I get a chance.
You notice that as you're mingling around, Zarzulvo, while there are 4 groups playing in the corners, as you pass certain parts of a room, you notice the audio just changes completely between them. You don't hear any mingling. There's no horrible cacophony building up. They are all staying very separate. Which is nice.
Oh. Are we in 4 zones of sound, as it were?
Yeah, basically.
If we walk between one... Okay.
Yeah, you're noticing, like, you could take one step and shuffle an inch or two and hear different tracks. What it also means, of course, is that as you look at groups nearby on the divide, you're not hearing anything from them.
Okay, so I'll have to keep on making laps of the room.
I think, Scott, you were going to speak up there?
Yeah, that's the gotta excuse. He's gotta go excuse himself, and gotta go talk to the hobgoblin lady. Excuse me, Miss
Yes, Calamita.
Calamita, Cornelia sent. I hope you recovered well from the incident at the Colosseum.
Oh, yes. Bookie expended quite a bit of gold to make sure of that. He treats us well.
That's good to hear.
And then he made it immediately back because Salamez tossed him a platinum, the fool. He forgets sometimes who he works with. You are also alive and doing better, I see.
Yes, that
Good.
was quite the comfortable event. However, we believe we might have figured out what may have caused it, and in some small way, you have somehow been involved in it.
Yes, Bookie did talk about this as well, how you and the kobold are the ones primarily involved.
In a way, yes.
Is this conversation conversation happening next to us?
That depends if you brought Horizon West over to the wine table again.
She's probably right now going wherever he drags her.
Oh, he's not
She's in a mild.
like he's very
Super-
slightly dragging along. He's not tugging and pulling or anything, but he's just pointing out things like like who that statue represents and what sort of things. Like he's very knowledgeable. You think you've no idea if he's bullshitting or not. But he's also leading you around the tables, the fine wines. He's mentioning what sort of music is playing. He just continues to speak, and every now and then there is a compliment thrown in directly. Most of them not even vaguely segued, such as, yes, this was a stalwart hero. He fought for hours in that great siege, and I must say, that plunging neckline suits you greatly.
Oh boy. Let's say that they circled around and they made it back over there at some point. She's going to be trying to touch bases with people that she knows.
Yeah. But at the least, he's not trying to ply her with wine or anything. You know, he refills the glass if she wants, but he's not forcing it.
Oh yeah, and she's more of a sipper anyways.
So yeah, you can overhear if you wish to.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was curious if you had a artifact of some kind, magical artifact.
I have...
It's only merely a curiosity. You do not have to answer if it's too
Yes,
personal
well,
or
I owe
discreet.
to your Horned One, and also your Kobold, so... I came in possession, some years ago, of 2 stiletto blades paired. They snap together, they allow me to climb sheer surfaces. So, obviously of a magical portent, although I've never followed up on them. They were a prize for winning in a far-off place.
At this point, Rain inserts herself into the conversation. Our friend upstairs, and she looks at the tabaxi that's currently attached to her.
And he's all smiles.
And our friend upstairs, who we were dealing with in the arena, also had something of a magical nature, which would imply probably why the 4 of you were the main targets of the incident.
Yes, the poor devil was apparently just some traveling merchant, but we saw into the room, indeed. There was just a blue sash, and that is all there was. Nothing else remained, apart from a pillow. Everything else had just been torn asunder. I do apologize, but it is the facts. So hope I don't spoil it. There's now a pawed hand patting at Rain's. It's getting a little familiar.
She slides the arm back up.
Do you remember about where you won that tournament with the prize?
It was, some years back. I was a different woman then. There are tournaments and fighting pits less official than deer bookies. It was in the outskirts, of 2 places, in fact, of the border here in Raxis to the southeast, where it connects with the Kingdom of Jurat. There are places there that are only for travelers or those in the know. I won it there in sport.
I see.
Ah, yes, and according to Bookie, of course, the man himself, he came from Jurat.
Rain gets that kind of look. Wait a second. Is it possible that there's another item?
In what way?
Well, Rain's just kind of wondering, like, okay, is it any way possible that he has something too?
Oh,
Do
Horizon?
we technically? No.
The
What's his
bookie.
face? The bookie, yeah.
Well, there was
Well,
no nausea or dizziness or anything felt from Cornelius or Zarzul, and the whirling blade things did not have any interest in Bookie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, there we go. I couldn't remember if he had trouble or not.
No. It was just Cornelius, Zarzul, Calamita, and the poor merchant who got absolutely blenderized.
That poor man.
He had 10 AC and 10 itch points against 6 attacks. Yeah, he was fucked.
See, that is certainly interesting. A lot of things a lot of these artifacts seem to be coalescing near that area.
Mm.
But enough of such.
Well, you're
Of
so
such
curious, I could
professional
let you
matters.
have a look at them.
Well, I could certainly take a gleam at them if you.
Oh, don't
would
worry,
allow
I'll
me
send Orby with him some night.
Well,
Although you make
we
sure
could
he gets away in case trouble occurs.
Yeah, if that's going to happen, I'm going to suggest that we move some of them out of the house because we have a collection of them now.
Although, Cornelius, you're now thinking about the fact that Orbinson asked if he could bring a girl over while you guys were at the party.
Uh-oh.
Calamita's here.
Uh-oh. Well, I mean, he also say he wasn't expecting it to be anything steady.
Indeed.
He did, and he did also say some girl. He did. Yeah, actually, I think I did know that. Now that I think about it, but he wasn't referring to Calmeda.
Yep.
So I don't know why I'm saying oh.
And hello
Yes.
there, sir. Horizon West, professional duelist.
Cornelius sent.
And you're a traveling companion to this beautiful woman beside me.
She's giving him the oh help look.
I admit I am impressed, sir, that you would be able to hold yourself back from this vision.
Yes.
I met her in the thrill of
Right.
violence, blood, and sacrifice, and I just know that she is a divine lady.
I am a cleric that tends to be with the. Yeah.
Yeah, she certainly has a speciality of dealing with the undead.
She
I
just
hope I'm not
gives
too
him
forward
another
here,
glare.
sir, but I would like to know if it's alright if I pursue this creature.
Oh God. Oh God. Sorry.
I believe that would be up to her and not me.
I just don't want to step on anyone's toes, sir. I'm a professional duelist. I have dealt with this sort of thing often.
It would not be his toes.
So that sounds like consent.
No, she is just firmly. She's sitting there going, "Oh dear." No.
She just wants
I
to make
can't
it
have
clear, Cornelius never. In no way,
Yeah.
that's never.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
That's
is
the most
not
important thing here.
Yeah.
She would
Bec-
rather be attached to him than Cornelius.
Because the lady doth protest too much.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. I know I'm going full on this here, but we met at such a trying time, so dangerous. In fact, a person I heard lost their life in the arena during that skirmish.
That would be me, yes.
Oh!
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't come down at that point.
It's okay. I got better.
Yeah, I picked him back up. It was all right.
You saved this man's life! Amazing! And he now takes your hand in both of his paws.
And now she's looking like I shouldn't have said that.
Truly a merciful woman. devout enough to bring life back to a corpse.
Oh,
It's
you would not believe what she could do to resurrect a corpse.
And then immediately she jumps in. We did that when we were in the forest that one time. We had some individuals being sacrificed, and we helped bring them back after.
And a hero as
more
well.
untimely
Please, I am
deaths.
all ears for you, my lady.
Oh dear. Oh gods. And I just give him this look like you're supposed to help me here.
He tries to bring your hand up for the gentleman's kiss.
She lets him. She decides it's not worth the effort.
It's tickly. Whatever you might say about him, he conditions his fur well.
Oh, She's just like, oh god, he's so pompous.
We know she likes a bit of that, though. Prenders was not a level-headed gentleman.
There's a difference between the frivolity and the... Yeah, there's a difference.
This guy had fun with it. The other one said, I will defeat the gods themselves. I guess maybe she likes ambition.
Oh.
And finally, the dark-scaled Dragonborn speaks up to you, Cornelius. You notice he's been there the whole time and he hasn't said a thing. Mr. Cent?
Mr.
Gadden.
Gatton.
It's up there in the mountains.
Hmm? What is up in the mountains?
You're not getting sent on some red herring chase. It's there.
Oh.
I see. And just what exactly do you know about this place?
I've seen it slightly. As a man of the arts to another. It's protected. It's not unoccupied. But I didn't see a hint of grey, pink, or blue upon it. I did not see roots burying through the place. But something lives there.
I see. And how long ago was this?
Oh, I have checked on it frequently these past few years. My last reading was more than a week ago. I didn't know someone would be sent out to find it so soon. I was hoping they wouldn't. What of the war?
I assume you have some personal interest in this?
Primarily business. Moral as well.
I see.
I'm being curt, but I'm not one of his men. Despite the appearance, it's just what I was born with.
Well, I would assume not due to how you broach the subject.
I'm interested in seeing what you'll do with it. I mean, I presume it'll be him, as he looks back at the dwarf with 2 drinks in each hand. Just going hell for leather, I assume, on the drinks.
Mm. Hey, it's free.
And Rain periodically glaring at him.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Assume so. But you must, but considering you have been keeping an eye on it, such you must have another interest to it.
A weapon like that is important in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Not to let's talk hypotheticals here, for example. The kingdom of Catalai, its ruler is a dragon. Gold and benevolent. People adore him. Protected, guarded, but there's always a way in for the determined. And if the sword was in the wrong hands, then benevolence ceases.
Yes, that's
There are a few dragons in Jurat. They do not wield great political power, they don't wield huge influence, but they are known. Some are feared. A man could become an immense hero with one of those in his hands and the quality of arms to deal the final blow. But here in Jurat, or here in Raxis, I apologize, there are no dragons. There is no official dragon worship. And there is a dragon slaying blade.
Yes, I can see how that would be of interest to less than reputable people.
Even to reputable people who have the wrong goals in mind. I don't know enough about you and your group for the full motivations of why you do what you do, but you've done good things. Although, turning up to the gates with an axe and a shell in a cart and saying you're a merchant. I apologize, but I have to chortle at that one. He doesn't look like he is.
Well, I must say subterfuge was never my strong suit. And I had a belief at the time that I was, until we came around here, that we were being pursued. People starting to recognize us in an area that we should not be recognized.
And so far it seems you weren't, but you are now.
Indeed we are.
Another place that is rumored to have dragons is Alchemia to the north. Now there's an interesting place. For I've seen the Shrine of the Sword. I have not seen anything in Alchemia.
Can't say that I have seen either.
No, you don't get me. I have seen the shrine. I cannot see anything in Alchemia.
See.
Which, not unusual for a place. Unusual for a country. And I've seen one of your red stones.
What about them?
Near the mountain range, far to the north and the east. One of them has been buried deep. Still to the surface, but it sits like a festering wound now. Things have crawled out, but they're more of a sign of infection than the disease itself. I've already informed our mutual friend in that regard. Wait, I don't need to be coy about that one. I've talked to Adagun about it.
Yes, I followed you. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've had a few conversations today where I've had to keep things vague. But no, we both know Adagun. He's a good man.
certainly given me some things to think about.
Apologies for that.
Oh, it's quite fine. Just unexpected.
I wasn't going to, it's just... You did a nice job in the slums. I was impressed. I found out well after the fact, but that was pleasant. It's not something I could ever attain on my own. Important as the blade might be, I don't want to touch it. As he just flexes deeply scaled hands.
Yes, I could see why that might be troublesome depending on how much it reacts to.
And I am more than certain that it is a known item among others. The man you met, the Horned Boy. Small time.
Broken, yes.
Dipping his toe into a bigger pool.
He definitely seemed like someone who wanted to make absolutely certain he can strong arm others.
Yes. I want you to imagine now his face, those horns, and a few strings pulling them in different directions. That is where he is placed right now, and you... well...
tucked along with a string from him.
But I wish you luck.
Well, I appreciate it. And good luck with your performance tonight. I presume you're part of it?
Yes, for now. I'm not quite the gladiator, but I enjoy a bit of rough and tumble. Not as much as him or Rivera as he gestures towards Horizon West, who is still throwing a few casual compliments on Rain. He's even offered his hat to her.
Take the hat.
No.
It's big and
Take the
floppy.
hat.
It's got a really big feather on it.
She would very politely decline because it would mess up her hair.
Oh, what kind of adventure you take the
I
hat?
wish she did up quite lovely.
Oh, he's noticed
She's
and
still-
spoken of many times.
Yes. So that would be her out. Not to mention she has flowers in her hair from the whip and stuff.
Oh yeah, and also creeping along your shoulder like it's a whole vine network of flowers. However, the music in the quarter you're in has struck up. He's leading you away from the table if you don't put any resistance on.
She figures, and she will go along with this one.
It is time to dance. Gadden
It's
does not
been a
offer his
while.
hand to yours, Cornelius.
What?
I'm saying Gadden does not offer his hand to you, Cornelius. Calamita does... She does put her hand over the shoulder of a dwarf and pull a little scruff of beard. Can you still step left or right?
When you say the dwarf, are you talking about Malgurn?
Yeah, you're the only dwarf here. Well, the one without a title.
Yeah, see, that's why you didn't address me by name, so I thought maybe you meant... I kind of just... I look at her, and I look at my drink. I don't say much.
Embarrassed.
I gotta put
He doesn't want to admit that he doesn't know how to dance. So he's kind of like, shit.
you swine, you didn't pay attention.
Oh, yeah, no, he doesn't fucking remember that.
Yeah.
He only remembers what he
Yeah.
talked to Zarzul about, getting drunk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, like, I fucking don't remember
But you
what
still
guys
did a
were
better
going through.
job
Yeah.
than Cornelius and Rain.
Yeah. But he doesn't remember any of that.
She looks at him, goes back to drinking. A little bit of a pout.
I kind of wipe my brow, dodged a bullet, go back to drinking. Dodged a bullet.
Ah,
I'm a hero.
You
Rain,
did it.
Rain would apologize and indicate that she has very little idea what she's doing, even though she was totally taught how to do all of this. She's still apologizing up front just in case.
Using it as an excuse to step him over the toes every step of the way.
No, she's not that mean.
Don't
He's
you worry, my
perfectly
lady.
Nice.
Don't you worry, my lady. I will teach you very gently. Besides, this is no big, thrilling twirl. This is just a nice little shuffle to get to know one another. So please, hand here, and don't scratch the tail. It can get in the way of the other people.
Not to worry.
But yes, and a simple 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. Yes, there we go. Just for fun, roll a performance.
That's what I figured was coming. Oh dear. Can I actually roll these? Hey! I remembered!
Mm-hmm. And now that you're with someone that you can tolerate, sort of, to a greater degree.
Are you sure? Because I think I tolerate Cornelius better.
Are you sure? You look him in the face, and you just see affection and okay, a little bit of ego, but he seems very sincere and friendly. You don't see, you're not a real wizard. I'm a real wizard. You're not a wizard. You just talk to your imaginary friend for spells. I've got real power. I put mine in a book.
So do I now.
A real book, not a journal. Just every bad thing you could think about in Cornelius' opinion.
Yeah.
There's none of that with Horizon. He's trying too hard, obviously, but you know, he wants to try. He's not doing this so he's got another notch in his belt. He's just doing it because he thinks there's a pretty lady here. It's very obvious throughout all this. Simple guy. But you do see something bump your hip for a moment. And as you see down, you see a bump, and then he pulls out a small ball of yarn. Helped me focus when I was in queue. Sorry about that. It is just the yarn.
Yeah, it's alright, don't worry.
I'll put that in a back pocket. There we go. And another 1, 2. Very good. You're picking up so well.
Why,
You've
thank
definitely
you.
done this before. You were lying to me.
Well, I haven't done this particular dance here.
Oh, it's very simple, and now I think you're doing well enough. Please, lead me.
Oh dear. And she'll give it a go, but she doesn't lead.
Well, you are noticing that some of the other people who are dancing about, and some are doing it in full armor, mind you. Yeah, they're changing it up now and again. It's not just a clear thing that the guys are the leaders.
Yep. She gives it a go. This is not one that she's not used to leading, but she would definitely give it a whirl.
I'm sorry, I do better, but I'm getting lost in those eyes.
Yeah, that's mostly what she does. Is she does, or she's like, how do I respond to this? This is a very complicated thing. She doesn't know what to do. She's not used to this.
How about Zarzul and Castalia? What are you guys up to?
well, if the dance has been called, I'm gonna dance.
Oh dear.
Congrats, obviously, along for the ride.
Of course.
Yeah.
I feel like dancing, dancing.
Dance night away.
But it's only a 1 of the quarters. Although, as the two of you step along, you do get to witness Rain and Horizon West. He's actually about 3 or 4 inches shorter than her as well. Now to think about how the backseat heights and all.
They actually dance very well together.
Oh yeah, there's a lot less hatred there.
Wait, he's shorter than 5'4"?
Oh, 5'4"? No, never mind.
Yeah, no, Rain's 5'4".
He's about 5'6", then. He's a silly one.
And Rain would agree.
Oh boy. So how's this big formal event going for you?
Well, I got to finally meet Karagram. Now, it took forever. God, sometimes these channels are just so delayed. See, this is why I could never really retire to something like this. Could you imagine having to send something to a friend and having to wait for weeks on end just to receive, like, yes, I can come to dinner? You're planning something 2 months ahead.
Sorry, the closest I can get to that is being the one hired to carry the letter. Yeah, it's a lot of circumstance and pomposity. I mean, the outlay for all this, and then... I mean, look at them mingling about, but the very certain groupings is not really just branching out, grab someone and have a laugh. It's
No.
not for me.
I agreed entirely.
I'm gonna say you look out of place here.
I feel out of place here.
You're too good for this.
Aww.
No, because you're actually saying what you feel. I doubt anyone around here is doing the same.
Very likely. Everyone's more concerned with how they look and where they stand than how they actually feel.
Oh, well, you do look amazing. I'm not going to take that away. But you've got better things to talk about.
Well, let's just grin and bear this night, and then we'll enjoy our time at home.
Alright, I've got to step back a little bit. I'm thinking of it now. And it's going to be hours, isn't it? Not to mention the hours we'll be stuck here.
True. But maybe something will come along that'll change it and get at least a little better.
Feels nice, Visso.
It's certainly not the worst.
Well, just, it's a whole load of people around here, a lot of groups talking, mingling. Some people seem to be getting on, but more importantly, right now I've got you all to myself. I can appreciate
That's
that.
when the black smoke came out.
What are your
really
intentions
now?
toward my apprentice? Filthy. Go ahead. You can do whatever you want, just leave her right arm fine. I just need the one that holds the hammer. Zarzul. You have no one.
Zazul's going to look around and see if there's any possibly shorter, unattached women around who look like they want to dance.
There's a few finely dressed dwarven women. You're noticing there is no halfling presence here. Or gnomes, come to think of it. There is a kobold in a wedding dress, standing by the drinks.
No, I'm not going to hit on one of Renbock's wives. That sounds like a bad idea.
You could also harangue one of the kobold guards who look to be getting easily distracted.
Also, possibly not a good idea. Oh, well, I'm going to ask one of the dwarven women for a polite dance. If any are around.
She looks at you. The arms reach out, if you don't mind. She lifts you up off your feet to head height. All right, little one. She sets you back down. It's a little intimidating. Like, she's only a foot taller, but far wider, because you are a scrawny fuck and she's a dwarf.
I know, that's why I was looking for shorter people.
Yeah. But she's gentle with you.
Okay.
You got a nice
I'm
little
assuming
step around.
performance?
If you want, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay, performance. 13, so I'll
She's
accept
very
that.
impressed. And she's bringing up a few questions as well. She's wondering, well, you're probably one of the combat entertainment folk, aren't you? You're one of the great warriors we pull in for fun.
I was part of the group that saved the dark area of town and brought light back to it.
She's well impressed with that.
Uh-huh. Light.
So you're a proper little adventurer, are you?
Yes, it's been an interesting life so far.
Well, have you done anything else? Have you had a load of expertise and exploits in your life?
I have fought a few beasts, hydras, and such like. It's been an interesting life, but I shall see what I can find out there. It is a life of adventure. One must go on and find more.
She is asking all about your life of adventure. You've got the feeling never been out of the city. You have a rapt audience here who is quite interested in any exploit you've got.
Mm-hmm.
She even laughs if you tell her about the durian fruit.
Oh yeah.
I do make sure to at least mention some of my mistakes because I'll be painting a semi-true picture, not
Yeah.
everything positive.
She is thoroughly interested.
Okay.
It's about this time you're looking at the
my-
features and trying to work things out. This seems like a dwarven maiden, not a dwarven woman. So
found
you're
the
probably
younger
not
one.
dealing with 8 or 9 decades ahead of you. You're probably dealing with maybe just 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hopefully, you haven't screwed anything up too majorly at this point.
Nope, it just looks like you're impressing her with exploits that she's got no bearing on. She's never seen these sort of things, never heard about them.
Aha.
It's not the sort of naive bar wench kind of thing, but she's just genuinely fascinated. And then the big question comes. So, did you live in caves, or were you always out and about? Did you break away from your people?
I was sent out from my people when I became Zazul to go and find new and interesting people and make friends with them.
So you're not only just a hero from habit, but you were sent out by your own people to do such a thing.
Yes, the idea was if everyone was our friend, we would have no enemies. And our tribe could prosper.
That doesn't sound too likely, though. I mean, there's a lot of things you can't make friends with.
If you've got more friends than enemies, at least you're on a good start.
As she says as she looks at one of the elven maidens who are dancing around. Just sometimes you can't make friends with certain things. My fears.
Another thing I've learnt on my journeys. You cannot take a person and treat them as the whole of their race or group, as it were. There are outliers. So even if
There certainly
As a
are.
general rule.
Sometimes too far, though. Like, do you see Lord Carragrim there? He's the big dwarf with a white pelt on him.
yes, I've seen him. Yes.
Did you know he had an orc wife?
No, I had not heard that.
They say some of his daughters are the ones pillaging and looting the countryside right now.
Interesting. I had not heard.
Oh, yes, it was a
Weird.
big ceremony because Apparently he was even chieftain for a bit. Who was it then? This really old, craggy orc woman.
Do you perchance remember a name?
I'm trying to remember, to be honest. It was a Korga something. I remember Mother just went on and on about the ceremony. It was horrendous. Well before my time, I'll be honest. But yeah, she was an old lady even then, but apparently the two genuinely wanted each other, although they didn't live together for more than but a year. And he didn't live in Raxis during that time.
Understandable.
Whole clan disowned him.
That's strange, but yes, I guess it happens. It's a sad time when it's disowned from a clan.
Well, I mean, there's things to worry about. I mean, bloodlines and such.
Yes, of course.
It's one thing to have, ambitions about others, and she strokes your tiny scaled head at this. to think outside and all. It's just when it comes to status, office, and bloodline, there are restrictions. There are problems there.
Yes. No, one must follow the rules most of the time.
Most of the time. She brings you closer at that.
Okay, Zazzle is going to try and excuse himself at this point.
Oh, it's easy enough. She's not doing it with any big pressure. It's just she thought it was going better than it actually is.
I'm slightly worried about the larger bearded woman. Okay?
Oh, this one's not bearded.
You God's a dwarf without a beard?
Well,
She
she's but a
half-human or
maid.
something? This is a dwarf we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a proud dwarven woman who wears her beard in stride.
Okay.
If
I
only,
should have known this
if only to
ahead
give
of time.
if only to give the puberty-stricken dwarven males a chance at guessing. The younger women shave. There's a chance they might find one. Plus, it might just be a Raxis custom here. Again, judging people on the whole. There are always exceptions. Although true, you have not seen a single male dwarf here without a beard.
Yeah.
But yeah, she lets you pull yourself away, you're able to make a few pleasant excuses, and it's an amiable enough parting. She just seems a little bit disappointed, but one that can easily be dealt with in an evening.
Fair enough.
She'd just like to hear.
Good.
But one of the kobold guards has pulled himself away to snack. Good job, you'd pulled.
Thank you, friend.
Do you always like big girls?
Well, the options around here are large and larger.
If you like company, I can provide.
It's alright, friend.
No, not me.
Oh?
I have 12 sisters.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, friend.
No problem. Who are you? You look important.
I'm the Zazzle of the Gidim tribe.
The Zarzul of the Getum tribe. The Zarzul, okay. But yeah, if you need them, I mean, some of them are okay. Lorna still has all her teeth.
Impressive. What is your name, friend?
Oh, I'm just known as Gypsum. I am guard and wife to the Lord Renenbach.
Guard and wife.
Uh-huh.
Good to know. Thank you, friend. I think I shall go get something to eat. Feeling peckish.
You are being followed by one of the kobolds in a wedding dress. She's doing it discreetly and stealthily from 2 foot away.
So in other words, not very well and very noticeable.
It's a huge dress. You can hear a ton of material going with every step.
Hello, friend. Can I assist you in any way?
Yours, Arzul?
Yes, I am Zazu.
She pounces you. You're suddenly in an embrace instead of a wrestling match.
Okay, can I try to dodge that?
Sure.
What's that? Dex save?
Everybody's becoming attached today.
Oh no, this is different. Kobolds don't really do that.
So everybody's becoming attached? Okay, you notice in the corner as Malgurn kisses his drink.
You manage to get away, and she stops and ruffles down her dress again to make sure it's all properly... Sorry. I am a proper lady.
How may I assist this lady tonight?
I was giving a proper thank you for helping my husband. He is very grateful for a thing that happened somewhere that he probably wasn't involved in.
It is of no worry.
Also, he could do his help again somewhere else that he's not involved in.
That is understandable.
But you'll really want to do this one.
Okay. Is this something he wishes to not talk to me about tonight? Or
That's why he told me to do this.
Or is it...
So,
Okay.
dance, and she just grabs your hands and starts pulling you along.
Okay. Off we go again.
We have a mine. It is south of the mountains, far to the east. We've struck diamond.
Okay. And is there a possibility you might have struck something else as well?
No, it's just right now we can't get them out because there are orcs there. And knights. And we were offering diamonds, some of the diamonds, for help in clearing away. We have got the mine sealed. Nothing's coming out except one runner who was really, really tired. But currently there is a camp. Lots of big orcs. And other big things. Some bigger.
Okay. That was to the south, wasn't it? I'm just making my notes in.
Yeah, see, today I was actually going to draw the map to Raxis, but then I got no fucking sleep whatsoever.
Oh.
So it'll be some other time if I remember to do it. But basically I want you to picture, like, imagine the northern mountains to the east as, like, the hard border of the map. And the shrine is somewhere there for the dragon sword. Then you go far south into just sort of flatlands and forest. And that's where the mine is. Because kobolds dig straight down when they want to. But yeah, it's also sort of rocky ground.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Which direction was this mine that they dug that might go into the Underdark? What was that? That was...
Wasn't said.
Okay. I'm hoping it's not the same one, but it probably is, but never mind. Okay, I'm going to sort of dance off in the direction of Lord Redenbach with my this news called for me if I need to go that direction.
Oh no, she's sort of steering you away from him.
Okay, no
Because, of
worries.
course, he must not be attached at all, because why would he ever need help?
Fair enough.
Also,
Um,
you suddenly realize, like, with the war going on, there's probably a bit of a premium on diamonds of any sort, even small little particles.
yeah.
Because there's
it would
probably
be
quite a
sweet.
few families here who would really like some diamonds.
Oh, the
There's
dancing
also
is going well.
There's also a couple of adventurers right now who could really use some diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And there's a
My
very
Diamond
profit.
ore, yep.
There's a very profit-orientated church.
Yep.
Who-
So this was.
who might even have
I'm gonna
some.
to bring-
Yes. You get. But yeah, any time that you try to steer towards him, she is steering you away.
No worries. I was just wondering whether you wanted to meet tonight or.
No,
not,
it's
and
fine.
Obviously not.
No, this is all that's needed. Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
Now
So I
dance.
put on a good.
You dance very
good
well.
Dance by the look of it. Thank you, lady. It has been a pleasure dancing with you.
If you dance very well and also do this job, I might be your wife soon.
Okay. Good to know.
Or you could have 100 gold as extra instead.
Okay.
I am worth more than that.
Oh, if you were worth much more than that.
I can cook, clean, dig. I can make your burrow smooth. I
Excellent.
don't paint walls.
I shall keep that in mind.
I also know how to make
What do you-
spears, but I don't know how to make the tips of them.
Okay. What is your name, good lady?
Which wife shall it be? Oh, yes. It's Samantha. Have you heard? I can't remember. Have you guys been given the rundown of the various spouses he's got?
I don't. If we did, wasn't paying attention.
If you could always ask her.
No, I'm sure they'll come up at an inopportune time as it is.
Also, no kids. I don't want anything to do with kids.
It's fine.
I will look after any
Okay,
animals you
I-
bring back.
I warn you on that. We tend to bring back strange ones.
I am good with cave lizards, salamanders, bats.
Displaced beasts and
Nope.
owlbears.
Nope, I don't do that. So you'll have to get another wife to do that.
Fair enough. It's been good meeting you, Samantha.
I can polish
Have
your
a good
armor,
evening.
but I expect gifts. I will also
Everybody's
need-
getting paired off here.
I also need money for the market. Or you can have 100 coins.
Sasul, run. Doom, 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 doom,
No,
doom,
once she
doom.
makes that clear, she walks off.
That goal is sounding good.
You could have all of that or 100 gold. 100 gold.
Females. The ultimate way to lose money.
But with 100 gold, you could buy many kobolds.
Yeah.
About 100 of them.
You could have them in your pocket and jingle when you walk.
I could hire a pair of kobolds to hold my pants up because they're full of so much gold.
But don't expect the gold to stay there in your pockets if you're hiring kobolds to hold it.
Yep. They just have to hold my pants up because my pockets are so full.
Yep. How much did you bring with you, by the way?
I didn't bring much of anything, really.
Yeah, well, what little you did bring is
well-
gone.
Nah. Oh, there goes 10 gold.
Well, what did you learn?
Because you were focusing on dancing and she was not. She was a terrible dancer.
Hey, I had to do my bit. I found out information, guys.
Yeah.
Some of it may be useful.
Any other mingling going on? Any listening out for rumors?
Have I
Malgern
heard
gonna do
anything
fucking
about-
anything?
I already did.
Has there been any mention of all of the previous royal family while we've been here? Or is it a topic that nobody speaks of? And
No one's been
Police
bringing
stays
that
away
up,
from.
no. There have been some talk about the court alchemist and how he's obviously one who poisoned the king. And then some people guffawing saying, you've been saying he poisoned everyone he met. Most people are still alive. He's a shifty fucker, he's unpleasant, but he's just a filthy little potion peddler who's gotten a bit high above himself. Like, there's no real consensus of niceness here. It's all generally, fuck that guy in his position.
Yep.
He's way up there and all he can do is mix water with shit. What's he got that I don't? Why is he so well paid and high up there? Fuck.
I know how to mix water with shit as well, and I make healing potions. Excellent. Obviously, I'm going in the right direction.
Anything else from the rest of you guys?
No,
I'd be dancing, but very much looking to see if I can get a chance to like pop off and try chatting with people. Preferably ours.
Oh, well, if you want to get off the dance floor, he does follow along. He just, he stops dancing and just stands by your side.
Aww.
Like, if you ever want to get off the dance floor or go anywhere, he is right there with you. He is happy to let you do it. Or do you want to try and ditch him?
Well, she doesn't want to be rude and just like drop him off. She thinks he's nice, but at the same time she's like, oh, he's just so flamboyant. What's Cornelius doing?
Probably fucking panicking at all the conspiratorial shit he's just entered into. People have mistakenly kept approaching him as if he's the top dog of the group.
yeah. Basically. I think at this point he's probably went back to the tiefling. What was it? Patience.
Yep.
Yeah, and continued on with magical discussions. Since apparently he had a lot to say about it.
It's a bit adversarial at this point. She's had a few wines.
Mm. Oh, she's going into druid magic now.
She's just going into, you could streamline this spell perfectly well. You don't need all these sums and motions. It could be condensed down so simply, but they always have to make it more elaborate. But what she's saying isn't actually without basis. There's some ideas going on here that are okay.
Yeah, I think Cornelius can respect that part.
In that case, Rain would try to get in that conversation.
Oh God.
By all means.
I was about to say we've acquired a dwarf, and I don't think we acquired a dwarf. Oh.
I just like how in the middle here, just got the dancing pair. It's all their night. Doesn't matter for anyone else. She got to talk to the important one.
So she pops up over to Cornelius. Oh, not dancing.
Oh, no, not particularly.
He seemed a little tired, otherwise I would have offered him. It's a joke, don't worry.
I'm just not sure who was saying it.
You do see the wistful, depressed look in Tallgreen's eyes as he looks to the couple who are still dancing very well, very closely. Just feel like I missed my opportunity there, but I don't know if I could have done anything more.
Sometimes timing just doesn't work out. That did remind me, I wanted to ask, I assume you've recovered well from your excursion?
Oh, I mean, I've still got a little bit of a limp. I'm not quite on active duty, but most part, yes, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry about that.
You are mostly fine.
Yes, for the most part, yes. So,
She gives one of those knowing nods.
been making friends?
She just gives him one of those looks like, oh God, shoot me.
Well, certainly I've met some interesting people.
I'm well aware. Patience answers. Yes,
Well, okay, some in professional matters and some in surprising matters.
I imagine eyes turn to patience here for a bit. Get your fuck off, we gotta be discreet here. Um, Horizon, wasn't it? Yes, indeed, Sarah. We could do with a set of drinks. Well, alright then. Sir? Mr. Cent?
Yes.
Will you be having a red or a white? I think I know the vintage you'll be enjoying, don't you worry.
Okay, then.
And you, good lady, another scale grape red?
Sure, thank you.
Patience, perhaps you could help him out there. And she just gives him this look of fuck off. And then she just walks with him. But the tail is just twitching irritably. I'll be back as soon as I can. Please, don't go away without me. I'm getting so used now to your presence.
She just kind of politely nods. The second they're safely away. Very, very nice, but...
I'm wondering now if Castalia had that reaction whenever I walked away.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling very focused right now. I believe I'm going to blame it on the wine. I don't think it is, but I'll blame it on it. So, surprising revelations and company.
Oh?
Well,
No, he said it.
yeah, that's what it... Well, it seems like some of the tasks that we have been assigned to has apparently also gotten outside from the people who task we got acquired recently. To acquire a certain item has apparently also been noticed by other people who are not part of the group. Has some quite interesting things to say about it.
I'm definitely blaming the wine. I got maybe, about 3/4 of that.
It's alright,
Sorry.
don't worry, that's not on you.
But
Yeah,
yes, there
sorry,
are...
but-
I have noticed a few additional players. I think that's the term you use on them, standing around here.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering why Karagrim is here. He was invited by the Borans. I did talk about it, and they didn't say why he was really invited. But I imagine it's just sort of friendliness. Try to ease some of the tension. Things have been very deadly here right now. Like, I've explained we can't really draw blades on each other here, agreements and all, but there have been people who have fallen downstairs, people who have walked into doors and tripped up quite severely in the town square. Or the district square, I beg your pardon.
Well, you're in the middle of a civil war and a war. I would imagine tempers are growing weaker by the day. Or stronger by the day, sorry.
It's not nice to see the ugly side of most of the people you know.
It's also probably getting worse because I wager some of the lines weren't as clear beforehand.
Well, it's just, it's all going awkwardly. I even realize it, but the Captain Agneta, she's long been missing. I thought she was giving the orders still, but she's not been in the city for a while. Apparently she was wrapped up by some Azael patrol.
Oh,
Which does explain a lot, I imagine. All the push for getting us out there on the front line, that speaks a lot of him.
who is him?
Oh, Jared. Sorry, I'll give the full title. Vice Captain Jared Rhodey. The third, I think. Or he's the second. He's one of those two. He definitely has the life of a number two. A man who should never have been in that position. I can see what he's going for already. We served a few times together. He, of course, got promoted because he knew how to brown nose a lot more effectively than I ever wanted to.
Let me take a guess. Honor and glory,
Oh,
pushing strong.
oh no. Think about this. Potentially all that's left of the royal bloodline is the princess. He's about the same age as her, and if he does a really bang-up job on the orcs, then people are going to have the popular opinion of new king, the guy who saw off the orcs, the captain in command. It's not it's pretty common for one of the knightly orders to marry into the royal family, mainly because we just didn't have, well, thanks to a few of the success kings, we didn't really have the economic power to, bring in from other kingdoms the political marriage that usually happen. So if he does a good job, he's expecting the throne at the end of this. And, it should not go to him. He is a horrible little worm in armor.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh dear.
So
For some
that explains why we've kept getting rushed out. I found that out a day or two ago, that he was in charge. Agneta, lovely woman. Ruthless as anything, she could gut a man in a few seconds, but she at least knows why we're doing what we're doing. He's just thinking of the end goal.
he knows what he wants, but he doesn't exactly know how to get there in the best way possible for you guys.
He's never cared who he steps on to get where he needs to be.
Yeah. And when you're leading, that doesn't work.
And the current problem is, he wants to do it before winter sets in, because after winter, everyone's of the mind that the Azales will ride out and just crush an orc army that has already devoured itself in the lean months. At which point, Volif is the heir apparent. He defended the realm, he stopped the orc horde, he was running the kingdom.
I'm not entirely sure if winter's gonna simply wrap this up.
Oh, well, think of... You've seen some of the orc hordes, yes?
Oh yes.
Those big ones, was it, Adagun called them? The Tanarooks. The demon ones. They are not at all controllable for the long term. They have giants and ogres in their midst. They eat so much, and they're idiots with no proper control. Like, when they don't have anywhere left to pillage and loot, if there's nothing they can just drag out of the ground and the animals are gone, then they can only turn on themselves. I mean, there'll still be a horde afterwards, but it'll be much smaller. Tanarooks, ogres, they got no problem with devouring orcs or each other.
This group Seems a lot more organized than most orc hordes.
I can't really say to that.
I'm wondering who's backing up behind them, because I kind of think that there's not just them.
Well, I mean, we have... well, I haven't seen... There have been reports of the Alchemians alongside them, but they seem just as barbaric. They seem more like the Tanarooks than the orcs themselves. Just crazy creatures. You fought them up close. Was there a person there? Or... Didn't seem to be.
Well, we did interrupt that one thing with Adagoon.
There's also that one guy who managed to survive a really long time in the tree fight, just trying to bite you guys.
Yeah, there was that guy. I would relay that whole incident.
He was very determined.
He didn't do very much, but he was very determined. I'll give him that.
He survived for so long.
And fortunately, we managed to deal with the blood disease before it could become anything.
Mm-hmm. Bit of a shame, that.
Oh yeah, because Tallgreen wasn't around when we came back, so he didn't get the full rundown. So I would have given him the full rundown.
Yep.
Right. Is there a whole lot of the session left?
No. We're actually just about to transition to the last bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you,
Sorry,
yay,
it's-
that.
Sorry, it's getting very late for me now.
Yeah. There's still more chat to do, but I'm going to give you guys, not the audience, just the players, the preview of what's to come next time. As you're led out to the Colosseum and witness a different kind of excursion.
Ah, that kind of Colosseum.
Oh dear.
Where you see in the great arena so much water. It has been filled to the throat, sealed, and you see proper naval vessels floating atop it.
Wait a minute, this map looks familiar.
No, it shouldn't. That's the only time I've used it.
Okay,
I was just incredibly impressed, but I was thinking about having this scenario happen, and then a month or two later, somebody made the map for it. I was not expecting to be able to find a fucking Colosseum naval battle.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that was really handy. I was just going to have to do it like Saltmarsh with, putting two ships maps together.
Mm.
So that'll be for next time. But for now, yes, because someone needs to go to bed, because they get cranky.
No, I'm starting to get hungover.
Yes, cranky. That's what we call it. Because you've been drinking too much from the cough syrup bottle. But yes, we're going to end tonight's session because we're also at 3 hours. Ah.
Yeah,
So yes. Everyone okay for next time?
Mm-hmm.
should be.
Probably not, but maybe, hopefully.
Okay. We'll just say you sit it out.
I shouldn't be drinking next time.
I can play Rain if I need to.
I mean, if she's not here, we can just say that Horizon West was a little successful. And they just sit and talk.
If all else fails tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, next Saturday, I should at least be able to hop on 30 minutes late.
Okay. But yeah, we'll be back mostly next week then. And this Thursday should be a Saltmarsh side story session.
Hooray.
Where we can find out what happened to the crew when they were left naked on a beach, on some beach somewhere. With no ship, no crew, no fucking luck. Oh, but they do have some stiletto heels and a nice pair of boots.
And the Mudman.
Nope, he has no mud. He is just a man.
The
But will that be an improvement?
Anyway, let's gonna click the button that says the end of the session.